I'm Anastasia. I work with Buncombe County 911 Dispatch Center, and I've been with RSS for a little over a year now. All the men in my family basically have a long military background, and originally that's who I thought I wanted to work with. And then I realized things hit a little bit too close to home. It's very much pull yourself up by your bootstraps and carry on kind of thing. I wanted to be who I didn't have when I was growing up, that supportive type to help people move on, to continue moving towards a better life. If I had to be a first responder, I would be a dispatcher. You know, being able to tell y'all, hey, what's going on, and send the braver souls to the actual problem, that's what I would be able to do. I praise all of them that are actually out there on the streets. And then I'm not saying dispatch is an easy job, but it fits my limitations better than actually being out there. So RSS is actually my first kind of big job in the mental health world. I did have an internship at a hospital on the behavioral health floor. I absolutely loved it. I thought that's what I was gonna do. But while looking for jobs with graduating, I found RSS, and it wasn't the typical sit in the office 5 days a week kind of job. And I was like, okay. So I put in my application. Probably an hour later, Russ emailed me back, and I was like, okay, sure, why not? It was so casual that I forgot it was an interview. And that alone was kind of an indication of how the people who work there was going to be pretty laid back but supportive. The very first impressions that I got was that they really care about what they're doing, and they care about the people that they're doing it with. Everybody was just so welcoming, and I was just like, I'm probably never going to leave this place, because not only is the job so rewarding to see the actual change in the people who really help the community to give back to that, the people that I work with are unbelievably supportive. It's so hard to find that kind of environment where everybody gets along. You know, I understand the risks towards even my own mental health of doing this, but y'all are so dedicated to this. Well, of course I want to take the next step. If you are open-minded and you like a little bit of a thrill, not knowing what you're gonna come into, and actually really care and can show that you care, then just do it. Just take the leap and apply. I think it's the level of normalization that they have with traumatic events that make it so different, that sometimes I'm even like, oh yeah, that's totally normal. You guys see that all the time. You have to constantly remind yourself, seeing a 6-car accident is not something that everybody can say they've seen ever in their lifetime. Whereas our paramedics see something like that. Sometimes they have multiple calls back to back to back that are that bad. And it's that idea of they don't quite realize how that impacts them in the long term. And that's challenging to get them to realize, no, you need to take time, because the amount of trauma that you have seen is so much greater than the average civilian, as we'll call them. Even though it's normal for your job description, as a human being, we were not made to process all of that. There's still some of that old ideas of you just got to get up and keep going, which to an extent is valid because they have a next call in 5 minutes. But also at the same time, you need a second to process. Most of the time at the dispatch center, I spend a lot of my hours kind of just walking around, hanging out, keeping an eye out for any kind of calls that might cause some people discomfort. I just try to get to know the people on the floor. I'm on the job with my clients. Obviously, not everybody that I'm working with is a client, but they are a potential client. And so we get on the back of the trucks with EMS. They do patrols with the policemen. Those that work with the firemen, they hang out at the fire station and ride on the fire truck with them. And with me at dispatch, we're all in one room. I can listen in on calls. I can listen to the radio while I'm doing it. So I get firsthand experience of their actual job, so that I get a better understanding of when they come into the office with job concerns or a call. I know exactly what they're talking about. Instead of having to spend, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes of like, what do you mean? What were you doing during that time? I've already got a picture in my head, and we can focus on what really matters is the experience of going through that. I can make my own schedule, which is very nice, but sometimes we're also getting called in on weekends, holidays, and I'm sure for some people that's not a plus, but these first responders work holidays too, so why wouldn't I? I find it fulfilling for sure with first responders. It makes that joy so much more when you finally see someone living the life that they want to live, or having those breakthroughs that they should have to live the fulfilling life. I don't really think I could go to a 9-to-5 office job, civilian job after this. It doesn't feel the same.